Hi and welcome to another Type with me. In today's video I want to talk about Markdown and sitemaps in Astro. How to give yourself extra superpowers to make your website even better. So for that we need to install, of course, the right packages, and I'm going to do that by installing Astro.js/mdx. So we're going to save that. So you could do that as well, and towards the pages I'm gonna add something like blog posts or just posts, for example, and underneath that we can add pages where we put Markdown in. Alright, so now we need to configure somewhere the integration. So what we could do here is this, and we also need to import it, right? So what we could do is then import the right thing here. So here we go, and now we have configured it right. So to make actually MD and MDX work, we can put something in like this. But of course, for me, everything is underneath source pages and then posts. So what we could do is here source pages and then slash and then posts, and this should work. And then we have something like a title, a description, a publishing date, and we could actually put something in there as well, right? If I create something, I would do it like this: post 1 MDX, and then my first MDX title, and then my first blog post here. I'm just gonna save this, and we're just gonna run this, right? Because I'm very curious. Run dev, and this should work. Well, it's not working. So you see it's validating actually if it conducts the schema. So I'm just adding this kind of extra const to see if it will work. Blog post does not match collection schema, and this is then it's called the collection schema. So I'm just looking into it and see if I can understand this a little bit better. So actually you need to add here title, first blog post, and description. That is a short description of the blog post, but then in my language. And that's because we have here a title and a description, and it really needs that. So if I, for example, now remove this one and just save it, you will see here that it will give me an error like, hey, description is required. So this is something that we need for a front formatter, that we have this, right? So okay, let me show you how this looks like within the browser. This looks like this, which is also weird because what we want to have, of course, is that it will blend in into this structure, right, in our web application that we are building, and that we have a header, and of course it has also a other kind of things on this page. So let us import the components, the layout components, and use that within our Markdown file. So well, how do we do this? Well, we can very easily import layout from layouts/layout.astro. We can then add layout here, and we can end the layout here, and we can put the Markdown right there. So we can very easily import the layout but also other components into our Markdown, which is, in my opinion, a very powerful thing to do. So this looks like this, and now we have my logo, category A, category B, category C, category T, and my first blog post here. And you see that it also has the right CSS that we want. So I think that's a great thing. If I can click here, we go back to the home page, which is a nice feature that we have right there. So I hope you now can very easily add blog posts, just write them within Markdown file and also publish them and get them there very easily on your website. Alright, so last thing that I want to show you is to put a sitemap there. So what I can do now here is do pnpm add, and then we do here a sitemap. So we're just gonna add that, right? And then we need to go back down here very easily within our Astro.config.mgs. We do here import sitemap from, and then here sitemap, and here we can do sitemap, right? So this will allow me to have a sitemap, and then here you can do something like this. And dearbots.com, whatever, and then of course this one. So now we have our configuration for our Astro. What we now can do is do mpx Astro build, right? And it could build our application, but maybe I need to check. Here we could do something like this, of course, pnpm run build, which is better, and I get an error, of course. What is the problem? Cannot use server-side rendered pages without an adapter. Please install and configure the appropriate server adapter for your final deployment. So let me check if I can find a way to do so. Alright, so I learned something new. Actually, you need to have an adapter, and you could choose Netlify or Vercel or whatever you want to deploy your server upon. And if you watched one of my previous videos, you know that we had something like pre-rendered, right? There was one page, I think it was the search page. If we go up here, you will see that we have pre-render equals false. So that means that that page only exists server-side. And so we need to have it like here within our functions, that we have here search Astro, and that we can deploy that page right towards Vercel, and that it has these kind of pages here, so that it works. So that's something that could be interesting, right? And if you have it like this, this should work. So if we now do pnpm run build, you will see that it will start rendering all these pages. And if we then go to dist here you see all the products pages that we need, and you see here also the sitemap that's been created. And if we go down here, you see here URL, product 1, product D, product standard metal can. So it really generates a sitemap, which is important for SEO, and I can recommend to start using that as well, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. I think using Markdown and a sitemap feature into your Astro project is really awesome. So I could really recommend it. It's indeed a little bit of playing around with getting the right settings there. Even for me, it was like, okay, how this really works, and also the adapter that you need to decide where you're going to deploy your Astro.js application upon. But I think they nailed it down. It's very easy, it's very nice, and actually makes a lot of sense to build up your website like this.